Hello, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today on this lovely Monday, just after the equinox. And that's a great introduction from Save about this being like a giant community project with everybody working together, because so much of the work that I'm involved in personally, it tends to be with community organisations, and even more so joining those community organisations together into larger networks and organisations so that we can achieve the goals that none of us can do on our own. So we're going to look at a couple of good examples of ways that we can take climate action together. So 3 examples of working well across borders. We're going to go with Community Gardens Ireland and Community Garden Support, which are 2 of the organisations that I work for. One, I'm a volunteer with another. The All Ireland Pollinator Plan, the All Ireland Pollinator Plan, I should say, and the Cedar Union. And we'll explain all these terms as we go along. So, Community Garden Support, that's who I work for, and we're a recently formed charity in Northern Ireland. We work across Northern Ireland to assist communities and community gardens to achieve their environmental, biodiversity and growing goals, food growing mainly. So say we're with 3 part-time workers. Don't know if you can guess which 3 of us are in that picture there. That's us at a community festival outside Limavady, where that's a couple of years ago, where we started building a cob house for the children's area. And if you saw it now, we've got wattle and daub walls and a couple of cob walls finished, and with a lovely roof on it as well. And it was all built by adults and children working together with their hands and their feet to tramp soil and straw together and build a beautiful little house. And that working together as a group achieves so much. Myself, Miriam and Patricia did work for Social Farms and Gardens, which used to be the Federation of City Farms and Community Gardens. We support the Cedar Union since that started in 2020, and we cooperate very closely with our sister organisation in the south, Community Gardens Ireland. And Community Gardens Ireland is, by contrast to us, it's an entirely voluntary organisation, and it operates on a 32 county basis. Most of its members and activities have been in the 26 counties historically, but there are plenty of members in the north, and we'll join in. And we exist to really connect and to support community gardens. And whenever we're together as an organisation, we can then act as a collective voice for all these small separate organisations, and articulate what we're looking for from larger organisations and for government as we try and speak to power. So what do we do? Well, we always have a big spring online gathering, a bit like we're having today, usually between 50 and 100 attendees from different gardens across the island. We maintain a map of member gardens across the island of Ireland, which is really useful if somebody's trying to find about a community garden in their area, or how to get engaged, and new arrivals to the country, or people who've just moved from where they were brought up to go and find work or affordable housing. So it's a useful resource like that. And then once every year we meet up in person, and we change that around the country, so we get a chance to see different areas and to work with each other in person. And we have a very active Facebook and Instagram pages, and there's a community on those. Lots of information gets exchanged between our members without any of the board having to be involved. Recent hosts for our real life gatherings have been Donegal, up in Gortahork, Waterford, Carlow, Cork and Dublin. And next month we are heading to the beautiful city of Galway, which I'm really looking forward to. And we're going to Ballybane Community Garden and to Merlin Woods. It's a great opportunity for us to connect and for people to bring along their kids, because no garden is complete without young people, and it's no garden's complete without old people either. It should be a real mixture of generations and learning and passing it on. And we're really looking forward to our gathering there. If anybody's around Galway, and tickets are still available via the Eventbrite. It's usually a wonderful event, and we always have really nice food as well, and activities for everybody to take part in. And this is the seed sharing table that we had at our gathering in Airfield, which is in Dublin. And that would have been Yeah, that would have been the middle of October last year during our community gardening week. And we bring seeds, and members from all the gardens bring their seeds, and we invite everybody to take away what they need to grow it, and then to pass it on, and maybe bring some back the next year. Oh, and that will takes us nicely into the second example I want to share with you, which is about the All Ireland Pollinator Plant. Now, some of you might know about this, some of you might have engaged with this, and despite that beautiful honeybee sitting up there, I have to say the All Ireland Pollinator Plan is not just for honeybees. But the National Biodiversity Data Centre, which organises and runs this, have definitely been very busy bees themselves since 2015 when they started the plan. Now, we've got information about it up there. Biodiversityireland.ie, as an organisation, they do incredible work. It's not just the pollinator plan, that's just one element of what they do. There's if you log on to that with your teacher, you can find out about all the actions that they do. And there's lots of citizen science projects. There's lots of ways of getting yourself involved and getting yourselves on the map. Over the 10 years of their plan, awareness of the biodiversity crisis and consciousness of that has been raised massively, because it's something that people can report on and say, oh, there's a plan to save the bees, and to save the butterflies, and to save the moths, and to save the wasps. It's really great to have a framework where people have agreed to carry out certain actions. And this is a bit like the Sustainable Development Goals that we're looking at here in a worldwide way, but this is getting councils and all the people to agree together that this is how we're going to sort out the problem of the pollinator crisis. So it's very much at the local level that the actions happen, but the plan is at a slightly higher level to allow everybody to see what they've all agreed, because that saves arguments. You've got a framework and you've got a plan in place. It also helps us identify ourselves as an island with a shared ecosystem, not as two separate states. Our bees, our hoverflies, and our butterflies, they don't stop and turn around at the border. And we certainly shouldn't be dealing differently with them in neighbouring counties, although we do have, it's a different legislature, it's a different sort of council structures and organisations, and there are some different rules. But because of the framework of the All Ireland Pollinator Plan, people can sign up and agree to that, and then that can help change those separate organisations. So they're all, somebody say, singing from the same hymn sheet, or pulling in the same direction, because this wasn't something was imposed from above. It was discussed and agreed and worked out with people. So it's that sort of consensus work that allows people to really agree that what they're doing is the right thing to do. And this is the map that they have on the biodiversity.ie site, and it shows you where all the pollinator plan actions have been carried out. Now, you might look at the map at this scale and go, oh, there's nothing happening over there near Galway, or there's nothing happening in Kerry at all. But that's only the map at this scale. Whenever you zoom into it, you start to see hundreds and thousands of little locations where it's all going on. And it's a really good way of finding out who in your area is doing stuff that might be similar to you. Or if you want to do something and you don't know how to get started, you can find out, oh, our neighbours over there are doing it. Maybe we can go and have a chat with them and see what they're doing to encourage minor bees or mason bees, or have they got a butterfly house? How are they working? And so you can get yourself or your school added to the map if you carry out any of the many activities that help the plan to achieve its goal. So again, biodiversity.ie, check it out and get yourself working. So your teachers can download the whole plan here, the pollinators.ie. It is fascinating, and it's a really good example of a framework for anybody like myself that works in ecosystem restoration, permaculture, and food production. Frameworks, like I say, they help us deal with complex issues, and they help us make important decisions quickly whenever that needs to happen, rather than getting hung up on, oh, what about this and what about that? That's been worked out. These are the things that you need to do. And these little actions will all add up together. If you have 1,000 schools all creating little hives and 1,000 households, or 10,000 households, that decide we're going to leave a patch of nettles this year for ladybirds, and we're going to leave thistles growing on the corner for our butterflies, and we're going to let figwort bloom for the wasps. Then rather than seeing it as a patch of weeds, you see it as one of the little jigsaw pieces that joins a broken ecosystem and helps it heal. So that's kind of what I want to say about that. So 6 objectives in more detail to make farms pollinator friendly. We need to work really well with our farmers, because they manage an awful lot of land, and they have hedgerows to work with, waterways to work with, and lots of them want to bring more life back to their land, to the way that they remember it was before the mass industrialization. So the pollinator plan helps them do that. Making public land pollinator friendly, so with your councils, with Aonrad Éireann, with the health boards. If we can work with them, that's quite a lot of land that they control. That's maybe out with the government control. So we get them to work together. That's a large building blocks in there too. Also, private land. There's our own gardens, the big areas around businesses, churches, faith communities, sports clubs, GAA pitches, whatever. If we can work together on those, again, we've got more networks of biodiversity friendly habitat. And the lawnmower can be very useful, but it's a if you bring it out every turnaround and cutting down every wee bit of grass, and you're not letting everything grow, then it can become a problem. We see a lovely example of a garden here outside Drogheda, where it's well maintained, they've got their hedges cut, but they're letting so many things go to seed, and they're letting the plants go through their whole life cycle, so that the pollinators get the chance to get there for the pollen, and also for the nectar when that's in season, and then little stems and habitats left for them whenever it comes into overwintering. Objective number 4, the all-iron honeybee strategy, helping beekeepers keep their bees healthy, helping them get proper training and how to manage bees in a way that keeps them healthy and keeps the community of them healthy, because beekeeping colonies across the world have been devastated by disease in recent years. So they're such vital creatures to our whole ecosystem, but really they're a beautiful addition to any farm or any community garden. And whenever you've bees going, making honey, they're keeping our plants happy, they're keeping us happy, they're keeping us fed, and it's wonderful to watch happy bees at work. Conserving rare pollinators is also important, because a third of our native bumblebees are endangered, and that includes, like I say, the minor bees, mason bees, and other wild bees that we think of them as being solitary, but some of them live in small colonies, but they don't live in the tens and hundreds of thousands that honeybees do, but they need our help just as much, and some of those are very specialized to deal with certain plants that will only be pollinated by them. So we need that for a healthy and vibrant ecosystem. And of course, it's not just like I say, the bees. Hoverflies do a lot of pollination work as well, and their larvae then are very good at eating greenfly, so they're a useful ally for food growers. And we also have moths doing a lot of pollinating, particularly flowers that you'll smell in the evening, like your jasmines and your night scented stock, and your sweet peas. So moths, butterflies, flies, hoverflies, bees, honeybees, bumblebees, and the rest, they're all really useful pollinators. And one fact I found out recently, which really, really amazed me, was that it isn't even just the action of the bee coming in and brushing the pollen off the anthers and stamens and transferring it that way. Just the noise that the bee is making with its wings, that humming and that buzzing whenever it's on the flower, that is enough to get pollination happening in certain closed flowers. So the plants are listening for the bees. Whenever they can hear the bees, they go, it's okay, I can pollinate now. So let's keep that beautiful sound around our gardens. The last objective is the strategic coordination of the plan. So that's improving the plan, keeping it going, did this work, did that work, and we're on near the end of the second plan now, which is from 2021 to 2025. There's going to be another plan that will run from 2026 to 2030. So by constantly going back and looking and seeing what you did and what worked and what didn't work, that's how you improve what you're delivering. And the All Ireland Pollinator Plan is a strategy in place for doing that. And we'll be very happy to see the new plan whenever it comes out and to work with that as well. And we, as organisations, we have fed back into it for the previous iterations. So it's really important to do that in all our lives, but especially for something as important as this. And the final little thing I want to talk to you about, which follows on nicely from all this talk about pollination and flowers and seeds, is an organisation called the Seed Union. And you can see our lovely logo there on the right, designed by a man from Donegal. And the Seed Union, food security through seed saving and exchange. Quite a mouthful, but really, food security or food sovereignty is our ability to feed ourselves. And that really comes down to having access to the seeds that we need to grow. And people think, well, you just go to the shop and buy seeds. But seeds aren't always available. And we noticed the real problems with the seed supply chain back in 2020, whenever a lot of people were trying to get growing. And we've also had seed harvests failing because of the changing climate. So rather than just believing that the seeds will always be there, and whether that's through legislative problems like Brexit meant that people in Northern Ireland weren't able to get seeds coming across from the UK, and a lot of people in Ireland and the Republic weren't able to get them coming in either. So a lot of farmers found that their main source of seeds had fallen away. So we have to build resilient systems that allow us to access the seeds that we need. But now we're not a massive seed company, and we're not even a seed bank. We're more like a credit union for seeds. We believe that the seeds should be out there in the community, being grown, doing their work there, and a few come back to us, and then we're able to lend them out to somebody else. So the pot keeps growing, the seeds keep changing, and rather than them sitting in jars and never being sown or ever being used, and eventually, after a long time, for some of them, they would go off. This way, they stay alive, they keep growing, and they keep learning from the environment that they're growing on. So we don't chase our members. Oh, we're getting a wee wave there. There's the seed saving cycle. Now, I could go on about it, but it's very simple, really. And at this stage of the year, we're over here on the right-hand side, harvesting, because it's autumn, and if you look around, you'll see so many plants with like beans hanging down dried, and you've got kale plants with the seeds hanging on them, and you've also got lots of fruit like pumpkins and tomatoes, which are ready to harvest the seeds of them. So we harvest the seeds, we process them, dry them out, and then we store our seeds in nice jars, airtight, very important, that they don't get damp and that they don't have too much air on them. And then we'll take them out then to bring to our seed swaps, which are usually in early spring. And then we'll sow them in the spring, grow them through the summer, and harvest again. Yes, Sav?
I just wanted to let you know that you have 7 minutes left. It's
7 minutes. Okay, we are almost there.
1:53.
Almost there.
Perfect.
So just a few pictures here of some of the work that we do. We get together in an art gallery once a year where we all bring our seeds to the CCA in Derry, and we process them, and we talk, and we eat cake, and then we go, oh, what have you got? Oh, you've got amaranth. Interesting. What have you got over here? Oh, you've got, is that corn up there? It's purple, and that one's yellow and silver. Amazing. And these are Native American corn varieties that we're able to grow here. And it's fabulous. We've got pumpkin seeds, we've got a million types of tomatoes, squash, and leek heads. And the leeks, again, beautiful for bumblebees. Whenever you're growing, you let your leek carry on, it grows up into a big, big flower head, and you might see 7 or 8 bumblebees crawling over that, beating away for 20 minutes, making sure they visit every flower. So you're doing pollination work, you're keeping your garden healthy, and then you're getting lots of viable seeds out to grow again. One leek can provide over 1,000 seeds for your next leek. So it's a great way to do it. And then we always have to get the right label for what we have, because you want to know that you're growing what you think you're growing. And with members right across the north of the country, Donegal, Derry, Tyrone, Antrim, Down, Monaghan, Leitrim. We're always looking for more. If you're from Sligo, if you're from Cavan, if you're from Fermanagh, or if you're from Armagh, we're definitely after you. Say we're currently 28 community growing spaces with 140 different varieties of plants, and that keeps growing. We're all obsessed saving seed and sharing it. And the seed that you save on your own land is adapted to that land. It will do better than stuff that you're buying on from another country. We keep it all in a big computer file, which is very boring, but very important to see what we have. And you can see a lot of stuff come on there from Clough Mills in County Antrim. They were wonderful at saving their tomatoes. Look at those names: Witch's Nose, Moonglow, Chocolate Pear, Travel Tomato, and Salty Ear Cucumber. Wouldn't you just laugh listening to their names even? So we've lots of other seed organisations operating in Ireland: the Seed Savers in Clare, True Harvest Seeds in County Down, and the Gaia Foundation, and small packet producers like Brown Envelope, Ballymckenny, and Wolf Seeds. They're all great. Buy from local small producers, and you're always helping out somebody that way, rather than a large company that doesn't really have the Irish environment at its heart. And libraries is another great thing that you can do. If you can get a seed library in your local library, then that brings people into the library for another reason rather than just borrowing books. And it's a great place to sit and chat. And your librarians are very friendly people who love to see people coming on. So if they don't have a seed library in your library, have a chat to them. And there's some instructions there about how you can save seeds yourself. We'll not have time to go into that right now, but you can look back at it. It's very easy to save tomato seed. It's a lot of fun to do, and they do tend to come true to type. So it's a good beginner's one if you haven't had a go before. So just remember that you are powerful as individuals, but even more powerful as a group. It's your future, and make sure it's one that you will want to live in, with happy insects to pollinate the plants, groups of all origins, nationalities and types working together on our shared island. Will be eating good food and cooperating with people of all ages, nationalities and abilities. I'm more of. Good luck.
Thanks so much, Connor. I'm just going to share my slides once again, and then we can hop into some questions. So while I'm talking here, if you want to put some questions into the chat, we can have a look at them in a sec. But I just want to do my little outro first of all, so that we make sure and get it done, and we're not getting distracted from the great questions I'm sure that you're all going to send in. If you don't have any questions, maybe I'll ask you guys one. Does anybody have a garden in their school? So if you have a garden in your school, let us know in the chat and we can have a little talk about it in a second while I just share my slides here. So there's loads of ways to get involved with ECO-UNESCO. One of the main things that you can do is take part in our Young Environmentalist Award. So that's an all-island or all-Ireland project. So today's talk from Connor might have inspired you to act. Maybe you want to make your own community garden. Maybe you want to start seed saving. There's lots of different things you can do, and all the information about the YEA is on our website, and it's open for everyone aged 10 to 18. So anyone from 5th class up essentially can take part in our Young Environmentalist Awards. We also do workshops in schools as well. So maybe you can't come to us, but we can probably come to you and deliver lots of different kinds of workshops. There's loads of different topics, from fast fashion to food for future to marine life. So whatever you're interested in, we probably have a workshop on it. And then finally, we also run youth groups as well. So if you want to do something after school, or maybe there's a few kids from different schools, or maybe you're in home education, then something that you can do is potentially one of our youth groups. And yeah, you also don't have to be in a school to do the Young Environmentalist Awards. Maybe you're in a club, or you're in work, or you're doing home education, whatever it might be, you can enter the Young Environmentalist Awards. So that's just a little bit about ECO-UNESCO. I have a QR code here, and if teachers could please scan that code, it'll bring you to a form to give us feedback. I've also just sent the link into the chat. So if you have any feedback for us, it's really helpful, and it helps us for next year when we're doing these talks again. So if you want to let us know any of your opinions or what we could improve on, do let us know in the chat. We have lots more talks going on this week as well. So we have, today we've had Introduction to the SDGs, and we've had Working Together for Climate. Tomorrow we'll start with Wild About Nature, Protecting Life on Land from Ulster Wildlife. And then in the afternoon, you'll have me all over again talking about Climate Change 101. So if you haven't a clue what climate change is, I'm going to let you know. So that's going to be tomorrow afternoon, and there's still time to sign up for all of those talks. So if you get a minute, or maybe you thought you weren't going to be able to attend and now you will, you can still sign up for any of the talks that we have for the rest of the week. And it's all free of charge. So even if you sign up and you can't attend, don't worry about it. It's all good. So that's the end of our talk today. Thanks everybody so much for listening. We have all contact information for ECO-UNESCO there, and we also have our social medias. So if there's any way you want to get in contact with us about any questions or any of the programs that we run, you can have a look on our website or give us an email, call us, look us up on social media. We're available everywhere. So ECO-UNESCO, you'll find us basically wherever you want to find us. So let's see, we have some questions coming into the chat, which is absolutely fantastic. Mercy College Sligo said they have a polytunnel. That's great. Good job. Yeah, fantastic. We have a greenhouse in our school and have a plant sale every year in St. Coleman's. Very good. Excellent, excellent. Miss Finnegan's class say, we're wondering how long do pumpkin seeds take to grow? What do you think, Connor?
Good question. Well, the pumpkin seeds that you'll be able to save this autumn, you know, anybody knows whenever they're carving a Halloween pumpkin, you can scrape the seeds out, give them a wash, then you dry them out. Don't sow those seeds this time of the year. You would sow them in April next year. And if you sow them too early, they don't really like the frost at all. So you're better wait until Easter, round Easter time to sow them then. And then you'd be planting them out towards the end of May. And then they will grow quite fast over the summer. And then you'd be starting to see fruit coming on them, in August time. And then your pumpkins will be ready September, October. So really, it's quite short. It's only really about 4 months, 4 or 5 months to go from a little seed to a huge, big pumpkin, and you'll probably get 2 or 3 pumpkins on your plants. You can see more coming, but often it's best to just leave it to 2 or 3 pumpkins, and then stop your plant at that stage, and then it'll put all its energy into growing the pumpkins. Oh, sunflower seeds. Sunflowers again. They're just a single year plant, so I would start. I'd start my sunflowers off a wee bit earlier than I would start my pumpkins. I'd be starting my sunflowers around St. Patrick's Day. It'd be a nice time to get them going. And a wee tip for your sunflowers is if you start them off in toilet rolls, just fill your toilet rolls with compost, put your seed on at the top. Then whenever your plant is growing and the roots are coming down, you can just put the whole toilet roll into your bed, and you don't disturb the roots, and they get on a bit quicker and they go that way. And it's really important to put your support for your sunflower on right at the time. And it might look a bit silly to have a big long stick and a wee tiny plant in front of it, but when your plant is supported, it will grow so much better, and it saves them getting blown over in the wind. We get strong winds at very unusual times now, and if your plants are supported, they will come through. They don't mind being blown about, but they do mind if they get knocked over and broken. A wee bit of blowing about is very good for plants, and that's one thing in polytunnels that you might need to do, is to go in and shake your plants, because plants are used to being shaken about by the wind, and if they don't get any movement, they get a bit weak. They don't develop their muscles. So it's up to you to go around and shake their hands, say, how you doing? Don't be too rough with them, but definitely make sure that they get moving about, and it gives them a chance to grow better, and it helps them pollinate as well.
That's really cool. And Connor, would you start off those seeds inside when you're starting off the little baby seeds?
Always. Especially when I'm saying March, we still get frost right up until May, so I would be, I start them off. I usually get like like the wee punnet you get grapes on, something like that is really good for putting 12 toilet rolls onto, and I just fill toilet rolls up with a compost, and then get my seeds into the top of that. Give them a good soaking, put them on a windowsill or under the hot press until you see the first ones coming through, and then take them out of the heat and give them light, but not too much heat, because you don't want them getting too long and too stringy on you. And if they don't have enough light, they'll grow fast looking towards it. So plenty of light, so like a cold, bright place, like an unheated conservatory or something is a good place for them in the spring. And who's that now from Kilkerry? How many members are in the organisation? In the Cedar Union, we would have, say, there's about 28 community gardens. Some of those are quite small ones. They might only have 5 or 6 members. Some of them would have like 100 members. So I don't know exactly how many individuals, but I say, but it's as an average, I'd say we're probably reaching. I couldn't say it. Close to Probably close to 1,000 people will be getting seeds from us, but it'll be more than that as well because we get an excess of seeds. Some years you just save so many you couldn't get through them all, and then we give those out, to schools or at community events and tell people here go and grow these, and that's the great thing about when you're saving seed. It's not a zero-sum game. You've got more than you need, and it's so good to be able to give that to people. So money doesn't become a limiting factor on it. And whenever it's real good quality seed that hasn't been treated with fungicides or pesticides, then it will grow well in a garden that's the way you want to grow. Because a lot of seeds that we buy, they've been treated, the ones that you can get in the shops, and then they don't do so well. They're dependent on you using chemical fertilizers and having fungicides and pesticides around for them. Whereas the seeds that we grow, they're all done regeneratively, so they're not dependent on those type of food and those type of chemical treatments to grow well. So they tend to do really well for people who are just grown naturally in their own gardens. And and in time, if you save in the seed, that's like a generation every year for like your sunflowers. And over time they'll change and they'll become adapted to where you are. And some characteristics, maybe you'll be saving seeds from like the reddy purple sunflowers because you love them more than you love the yellow ones. And over time you get more of those ones going, even though they came from the same parent seeds. So you're helping plants evolve and adapt to your area. And it's much easier to let the plants adapt to your garden and your environment than to change your environment to suit the seed. So it saves a lot of work, a lot of effort, and you end up with happier plants, and you have to do less hard work keeping them all alive.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Connor. If anybody in the chat also wants to let us know, maybe tell us what you're growing in your polytunnel. I'm sure a lot of you have school gardens and you can collect seeds. Maybe it's not something you're thinking about doing at the minute, but it'll definitely save you money as well as everything else. You won't have to buy any new plants for next year for your school garden. So I see like Mercy College has a polytunnel and there's a few other people with greenhouses. So let us know what you have and what you're growing, and maybe we can give you some advice. That might be a nice idea. So let us know if you have what you're growing in your garden, in school or in your community garden or wherever you are.
Yeah, I see a question there from Kathy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kathy, I think there's great benefits to schools making contact with each other. I mean, the more people, even if you had 6 schools all growing the same plant, it's going to do differently in every one of them, and then you're not just dependent on what you've grown. You can say, well, we've got loads. We could share these with you, or your peas did really well. You share them with us. You start to get into a network, and you lose the stress, but you still feel responsibility. But you're not so worried if like, oh, this didn't do well for me. It's gone. It's not. No, it did well for somebody, and we'll still have those seeds and we'll keep them going. And it's just a great way of making friendships with people, because rather than just like, you know, saying, oh, hi over there, it's kind of like, here, we're sending you a packet of something that's grown and done well for us. See how you get on with it. And you've got that in common to talk about. And gardeners love to visit all our gardens. And you just love having a run over and seeing what people are doing. And you can always get ideas from all the gardens too. So I don't see any downsides in schools making contact with each other about stuff like this, and see a lot of positive outcomes on it.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Connor. I think we don't have any more questions. I feel like that's it. So I just want to remind everybody again that we have loads more sessions this week. If you're interested, there's still plenty of time to sign up for any of them. And it was really, really great to see you all here today and hear your schools and what you're growing and everything that you're doing. It's really, really fantastic. We also shared, myself and Kathy, who's also from ECO-UNESCO, shared the pollinator plan and some definitions as well for you to have a look at if you're interested. really, really good resources for schools. There is a schools version of the All Ireland Pollinator Plan for the students as well. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you can definitely have a look at that. So if there's no more questions, which I don't see anybody typing, so I don't think there is, then we'll finish our call off for today. As well, if you haven't already, do send in your school and the number of people that are attending, or your group, whoever they are. Maybe you're a youth club. I don't know. Whoever you are, let us know. Send us in the name of your organization and how many people are watching. It would be really, really helpful for us. But I don't think there's any more questions, so I think it's time to sign off. Connor, would you like to say anything before we leave?
I'd just like to thank you all so much for coming along and giving us your attention, and just remember that. So one school there does a plant sale. We all need a wee bit more money in our school systems, and nobody has ever turned down a plant when they've been given one. You can grow simple wee things like strawberries that propagate every year. The great thing to sow now at this time of the year, in October, is to sow shamrock seed. You can get shamrock seed, and if you sow it at this time of the year, it'll be big enough in March for you to sell out to people, so that it's not stuff coming in from Germany or Holland, and you can make a wee bit of money for your school. And everybody likes to see, people getting busy and doing stuff like that. So it can be economically useful, and it can give you all a wee sense of, the environmental enterprise. There's nothing wrong with making a few pounds for the school, and getting lovely things out to people's gardens as well. So I'd encourage you all to try a wee bit of that.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Connor, for joining us today.
And
thanks, everybody. I hope to see you again at our next sessions. But that's all for today. I'm going to stop recording now. Thanks, everybody in Holy Cross. I see you're typing at the end there. I'm going to end the recording here.